Good day, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel today. On today's Figma tutorial, we're going to be talking about how to create an interactive button. So, for example, what we're just trying to achieve here is a button that can change colors while it is hovered by the mouse and clicked by the mouse. And to achieve this, I need to create I don't need to necessarily create a primary and secondary button, but they are necessary for when you're doing like a proper page. But for today's tutorial, I'm going to focus on what the default button will look like, what the over button will look like, what the pressed button will look like, and what the disabled button will look like. So basically, this is going to be the response of this button when I click the button or I about the button. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to try it in that color. So I want to make it a dark mode. So yeah, I'm going to try and let's just go for a color like I like the teal color, so something like deep blue teal, just for a choice. I'm doing the dark mode because you already seen the example of what the light mode can look like. So I'm going to also change the fonts. Outfit is, I don't know, it's not the best font for me, so I'm going for a font that it's more interesting, so I'll go for Inter. I tried Outfit, I didn't like it. I think I'll still go for Inter. I feel like Inter is always what I always use, but as far as it works, if it's not broken, why try to change it? So I'm going to move this aside. I'm not trying to note what I need. I'm going to move the initial one. I'm going to change everything. So whenever I normally want to do buttons, I used to use shapes before, like the rectangle shape. I don't do that anymore. Right now I use the frame because I realize I can type within the frame. It's going to help me align what is going to look like, and I can fill the frame with the color. I can put a shadow around the frame. I can put the frame is just functional. So to start, I'm going to first create a frame called buttons, and I'm going to create a frame within a frame. I will size this as 48 or so. Then I would make the width 160, or let me see, 180, just an average size altogether, because I'm using the mobile frame, so I want the frame to be able to take the size of the button. So I'm going to create a stroke so that I can see, and I need to actually change my background, my main frame background, so that I can see what it's going to look like when I apply it on the dark mode screen. So I'll just change that to the same color of what the screen looks like. So I'll just copy that and paste that to my buttons frame color. Yeah, so this way I can see what it's going to look like when I apply it on the screen. So with the frame now, one of the things I'll do is to create a corner radius for the sake of aesthetics. Now I don't, it's been a long time I've seen a very sharp cut button, so I like the corner radius because it makes it have a softer look. Then I'm going to make my stroke bigger, thicker, so that I can see more, so it can have more of an effect of a button. I'm also going to add shadows, drop shadows, and inner shadows, so that it's going to have more of an effect of a button. You may not see it here until I fill it in. So because I'm going to be doing a dark mode, I'm going to just fill it in with a bright color, not white. Let me just search for a color that would match what I'm trying to do. Not necessarily blue. I don't want it to be the same color as the stroke, so I just need something brighter. Yeah, so let's see, maybe a lighter color that will complement the background used here. Okay, so I'll do that. Then I want to put a text within it. Okay, before I even put a text within, I want to remember what I'm trying to achieve here. So I'm trying to achieve the button state when it is on default, when it is on over, when it is on pressed, and when it is on disabled. So just like I'll remember that. That's just a form of reminder. So I'm going to just put a text within it and call it button. Yes, I'll have to change that font again. But then yeah, let's first do button, and let's see what font am I going to do. I don't want to waste time with this. I'll just speed past this portion of the design. I don't like neutral. I just want something, yeah, inter. I think inter just works. If it's not broken, why fix it? And I'll use semi bold, yeah, as my option. That's why I like inter. It gives me a lot of options, and I just need to centralize my button at this moment. And that's why I like this using the frames, because frames allow me to centralize my buttons with the align section there. So that's the first one. So I'm going to just duplicate this 3 more times, so that I'll just change the colors to what I think it would be. Yeah, so for over, I would use a brighter color just to show that it's in the over state. So I go back to the color selection and just a lighter color just to show that it's in the over state. And for the pressed option, I will use a darker color just to show that there's a difference between what it was initially as a default, then what it is in the over state, and just show that there's a big difference. That looks too dark for black. I'll just change the text within it to white, so it just shows a full difference, not white really, like a bright color. It just shows that there's a full difference between what the default state looks like and what the over state looks like. So let me just change the text colors from black to the background colors, just to give it more alignment. So for the disabled state, disabled is usually a gray button, a gray color, just to show. People normally use disabled for probably when you're trying to enter in some information and click the button, but you've not filled in all the information that you need. So because you've not filled in all the requirements, it is not going to allow you to go to the next page. So that is what the disabled is usually used for. So I've never really used it before. So in this side now, I'm just going to create a component set. I'm going to create a component set, just like the star above. If you do not know how to use Figma, if you are very new to Figma, you could watch my introduction to Figma video. I'll just put the link in the video. So now I'm now naming the properties of each variant. So this first one is default. So to name the properties, all I need to do is when I click on the button, I will go to the design or prototype panel. Again, if you do not know anything about Figma, please watch my how to use Figma or introduction to Figma page. So I'm going to go back to the property and I'm going to title it as over. So that is the over state, and I'll do the same thing for the press state, and I'll just title that as pressed or clicked. Then for the disabled state, I'm going to also name that as disabled. So I wrote default here, and as you can see, the moment I typed in default, there was like an error message, and I knew immediately I've done something wrong. So I just I needed to change it to disabled. So also you have to pay attention to what Figma is telling you. So after this, what I do is I can now copy my button and place it within the frame. So I will go to the asset section. I'll first go to the prototype. I'll first go to the prototype section, and I'll now choose the navigation. So all I just need to do is to press the first button, the default button, and connect it to the over button, and as you can see on top the over, but because this is the over, it's not going to be on top. I have to change the setting to while overing. Then I'll click on that button again, and I'm going to connect it to the pressed button, and I will leave it on tap. So before it used to be on clicked, but now they've changed it to on tap. But as far as it works, that's fine. And I'll click on the over button again, and I'll connect it to the pressed button, and it's going to give me the same on tap. And that is what we want. I want it to be able to change to the clicked, to the clicked option, that's pressed option on that tab. So this time I did not do the smart animate. I didn't use the smart animate option. I used the smart animate option for my first tutorial where I taught how to create a drop down menu on the website. I don't need to use it here because buttons are usually instant, so I don't need to really do anything here. So now what I'm going to do is, after this is done, I will just I'll just make sure that my prototype is set on the correct screen, and I'll go to my assets panel and pick my button from there, and I'll include it in my Android prototype page. And yes, I can just play it, and as you can see, when it's over it on, it's brighter. When I clicked it, it became a darker color, and with this dark color I've been able to achieve my button. Now you may wonder that, oh, on the mobile page, you do not ever need to use a, what do you call it, you don't ever need to use the over or clicked option. But it depends on the project you're doing. There are times that you may need to have multiple clicks. Like you need a page that's going to provide you with multiple options, and you need that clicked function. So don't ever say you don't need a clicked function until on a mobile page, until you're working on a project. So that's it for today. If you have any questions, please ask. You can subscribe, you can like the video, you can share the video with those that are starting with Figma newly. If you're confused with some parts of this video, please don't forget to watch my introduction to Figma video. And thank you.